Okay.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks for coming tonight to keep working on these visions and values. We're gonna start by going around the table or around the room here on this end and introducing ourselves. So Jeff, can I start with you and we'll just go around in a circle?
Sure. I'm Jeff Weitzel, Secretary of the Nescoin Citizen Advisory Committee.
Kathy Bennett.
Dave Bennett.
Hillary Gibson.
Susan Schulberg. Ann Selig. Lorraine Brady.
Lorraine Husband.
I'm Gail Swanson. Joni Blum.
Lynn Wintermute.
Guy Sievert.
Nicholas Carton. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank
Tom
you.
Syke, I'm the editor.
All right, Sarah
Good
evening, everyone. Sarah Abshire.
and Randall Cook, I'm the chair and I'll be facilitating tonight. So,
Should we have the people attending?
sure,
Remotely.
please join us from the Zoom and
That looks like Gary.
Let's see. What's the right way to do this? Because
if you can start and we'll go on the list, left to right, so I'll just,
well, they might not see the list the same way.
well, I know.
We'll add.
Why don't we just read their names?
Okay, so we,
I'll do it. We have Gary McLean, Harvey Rubenstein, Lynn Saxton, who is on the committee, Tom Sype, who's also in the room, Lauren Krebs, Kathleen Brown, Barbara Triplett, Barry Dragoon, Derek Dolehite, Nancy Vandell, and Elaine Babby.
wonderful. Thank you all for attending tonight. And we look forward to hearing from you as the evening goes on. So we're going to, let's see, we did distribute the document that has the current draft of the community value statements. And we also provided a timeline to give you a sense of where this, what we're doing now fits in the overall process. So this will be the last meeting before we present on the 26th, on Sunday, the 26th, at the NCA's Memorial Day weekend meeting. And we will be presenting the edited results of this evening along with this timeline and do a 10-minute presentation to the community because it's a group of 100 people or more. And for many people, it'll be the first they hear of this, but hopefully it'll get them engaged from now on. And just to let you know, the value statements will continue to evolve as the summer goes on, and we will have specific meetings for any edits of the value statements. When we start working on the or recommendations for ordinances, there will probably be issues that we didn't anticipate, and we may need to create values and visions in order to support the rationale for the recommendations. That might sound kind of abstract, but as we get to know this process, which is kind of a big process, more of this will make sense and the pieces will fit. And that's why we gave you a timeline, so you have an idea of what pieces are coming down the line. So today we will be working statement by statement on the latest edition. And we'll share the screen. And if you follow the same order on your handouts, or if at home you have it from the web page, we will read the value statements and go through them, and then we appreciate responses to these statements, whether it's grammatical, conceptual, or a specific word. Let us know if you feel that statement is working for you or not. So we'll have our eye on the chat to understand.
Somebody's having a Cape Cod.
We will, keep an eye on the chat and then, I'll work with the group here when you have, something to say. Please, raise your hand and I'll call on you and, we'll try not to talk over each other. If we disagree or have a finer point, we'll try and do it in sequence, so the crowd on the Zoom call can hear what's going on and we can sort that out and actually make the edits, as we go. So if we can get on the screen with the points, what do you call them, Tom? You call
PowerPoint, I don't.
Okay, well, each statement will be up there and then we will go
Okay,
through it.
So, I should mention that although what you have is revision 1. This is revision 2, but the only changes are a little bit of some grammatical changes. A few things got pointed out. I actually made a couple of those changes before they were pointed out. I did.
Okay,
So,
good.
anyway, so, what we have is basically a PowerPoint. This list came from PowerPoint. It's literally the same thing. So 4 major categories really settled out from all of the inputs that we got. Their community character, family focused and education minded, environmental stewardship, and safety and resilience. So those are the main categories. Everything else everything that we had seemed to fit into the categories. Some of them comfortably, some of them less, but they did. So we're gonna go through each one of these 4 major ones, a slide apiece. And for instance, the community character values. Now, each one of these sentences here will probably wind up being at least 2 or 3 sentences, sometimes a paragraph. It's up to me to interpret that and then send it to the committee and to you all as to whether or not I've interpreted that correctly. But for the purposes of communication right now, they're fairly brief, but they're not going to be that brief in the real document. So Nisquam's relaxed beachside atmosphere has 2 subpoints. Spirit of inclusivity, where everybody feels welcome and respected. A friendly atmosphere where neighbors and visitors support each other. People's reaction, yes, no, maybe different,
Great, good, love it.
okay? So it's going to be very.
Who's gonna be against that?
Well, I think, Hatfield's.
Starting with the softball.
Yeah. Okay. Development guidelines that preserve the unique character of our distinct neighborhoods. Now, if you hadn't been here in previous discussions, the previous description of atmosphere of a unique character was really, some people thought was really oriented more towards the village. And there's more of us than just the village. And we're different. And we need to be treated that way. So who doesn't like that softball? Okay. Limiting commercial activity to maintain a primarily residential focus. And lots of nods. Okay. Support a diverse housing supply that accommodates a variety of household needs and life stages. It was suggested, they'll say, of its residents. Okay, probably. Yeah, okay. Support effective volunteer community organizations and their activities.
That's necessary.
Yeah, we need that more probably.
Yeah.
And grassroots community events, we think we need a few more words around that. And but basically,
Like the school, dinner and what have you?
Yeah, like events at the school and the farmers market is pretty established now, but it's still pretty grassroots effort. And there are some spontaneous things that happen here every now and then. The movie night happens,
Fireworks show?
fireworks show.
that was controversial.
Yes. Community event. We have wildlife here. They don't like that.
They're expected.
Nancy has a comment on bullet 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I thought you would.
Not maybe.
Oh, am I up? So I love the first two bullets, and the third one, I'm just wondering, we spent quite a bit of time on the bylaws defining resident versus some of the other types of members. I'm wondering if we limit commercial activity to maintain a primarily residential and visitor focus, could we have that up above? I think what we're trying to do is limit commercial activity, so maybe we just put a period there, take out the rest of it.
Great, good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Good idea.
All the way
Good,
down,
not quite sure I understood that edit.
limiting commercial activity, period.
Oh, okay,
Take out the rest of it.
okay. Less is more, yes,
Amen.
I know you like that, Tom.
yes, okay. Any other
And
comments?
should it be limit and not limiting?
Oh,
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, limit.
and no period because this is an outline. Ah.
Very good.
One item I want to bring up on the support, the fourth item, supports the diverse housing that accommodates a variety of household needs and stages and then of its residents.
Could say that, doesn't.
I
change
know
it,
it's adding, but it just, you know, it just, and it's leaving it at household needs and life stages sounds kind of.
Angling,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, these are brief statements, but I added that, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have other grassroots community, because I'll expand this and have some, for instance,
it's
anything
true
else?
that Fireworks is a private group that has solicited everyone to help them do this, so it's pretty grassroots, it's right
Okay.
out of the neighborhood.
The NCA is grassroots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, it doesn't support our wildlife, I mean, I have a very large dog and we live here full time and he's scared shitless with the fireworks. You know, it's pretty controversial. It doesn't,
It is.
I don't think it fits with our wildlife preserves and our nature. And our wildlife. The wildlife, I don't think,
It's
love it.
I think that's under the third point of environmental stewardship.
I think we can-
Yeah, we haven't got to
I
yet.
think we can
So,
say that fireworks should not appear by name in the value.
fair enough. I'm sensing that. Any objections to removing the fireworks? I'm happy with fireworks.
I have one more, oh, sorry, for removing them.
Okay.
I mean, I like the fireworks, I think it's lovely.
Yeah, I
And
went somewhere else.
obviously, the one evening, I have a dog too.
I don't want to get into grassroots for what percentage of people who are here. So this grassroots effort is okay, but this isn't, you know.
Grassroots or weeds?
It's almost like that's sort of open to the town, maybe, you know? Well.
We can go someplace else on the 4th of July,
Well, and
if we don't like it.
Oh,
Okay,
Well, can we just eliminate the, you know, we had grassroots community events? Is that
well,
okay?
I'm
And
gonna,
just-
I'm looking for some, these are gonna be expanded into sentences, paragraphs.
Well, there's.
I have an
Fourth of
example.
Parade, there's.
think it's
Fourth of
not-
July. How
Stuff that
about Fourth of
happens.
July?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard to
just think that,
say stuff ahead of time, because who knows in 5 years what a
right,
group of people may come in and want to do.
yeah,
How about
We're gonna
midnight,
service the town.
how about the midnight papers?
yeah, that's a grassroots.
Yeah, that's a good
activity.
one.
Midnight papers, they repair the potholes
Right.
that the county doesn't repair. Yeah.
Well,
Actually, that's not
just
controversial.
to update you, the county is now supplying some of the blacktop and stuff,
Oh,
so they are participating.
I think the general purpose of grassroots is that we're a community when either things need to happen or we would like to happen or whatever, there's people that gather to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that goes everything from established grassroots, things like the NCA, which I think is an established grassroots group that brings people together in various activities. We have Memorial Day weekend, one. We have other, I mean, this golf course is a grassroots activity where the community came together to make it a community place. So those are examples of things, but I think when we define it, we have to, it has to go with the spirit of what really grassroots things are.
Right,
And they could be small, they could be major, but it's about people coming together to make it happen.
and if you do disagree with it, you just don't do it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of self-organizing in that. way.
Yeah,
And
Okay, well, you got.
Committee, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that you were discussing having the document have values, which would be grassroots community events, and then visions, which are kind of examples and like things to help the reader of the community plan understand what we mean by the values. So,
Right.
So that, so the list falls into that category.
yeah. Okay,
So that's a good start, and you get the feel for what it,
so
What it is.
did we miss anything?
well, I'm sure.
Well,
Well,
do I have?
There's a
about-
comment in the chat.
Thanks, Nancy.
I would like to see art events focused on the art gallery, the cafe or farmer's market, and agree with limiting of
banning,
Banning.
Or banning.
banning fireworks. Okay. Well,
Okay, arts. would-
it's under Fourth of July.
I think I've got more here than I
It's
probably
kind of
will
I
be
vanilla.
think
able to justify in a
something
paragraph.
just changed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, golf course is gone.
Yep.
Golf
Ooh,
course.
what happened?
Yeah.
Just do a couple
Back
undo. I
command.
think you accidentally erased some stuff.
That was Elaine Babby.
There you go.
Ah.
That's,
Wow, I'm
yeah.
not used to having a keyboard, had a separate keyboard.
If I can just elaborate, can you hear me? This is Elaine.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. I know at the farmer's market, there's a number of artists that are routinely there in the summer and they do very fine work. And it would be nice if there were other venues for them to participate in besides just the farmer's market. And I don't know how that could be promoted, but it just seems like the arts are sort of underrepresented in the community, and maybe by having art in the cafe or, you know, bringing in the art gallery folks, or I don't know, it just would be nice to see more arts activities.
Yeah,
as part of the whole
that would be-
grassroots effort.
That type of action would be something we would call for in our vision. In other words, these are the values then get interpreted into visions, what we would like to have happen.
Yeah,
So that, we will keep that in mind.
And you have a whole separate spot for arts in here.
Right, we do have
oh,
a,
great.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
cafe has 2 local artists filling the entire cafe.
One of them.
One right here. If you haven't bought one yet.
The other one is Michael, who everybody knows, so, you know, they.
We got them both here. We got the walls covered.
so,
Well, they're covered, yeah.
so Elaine, that's something, if you want to see some more things happen, it sounds like a grassroots effort that you might have to initiate, which we welcome, which is a good thing.
I'll get working on that.
Okay. good
All
stuff.
right.
Well, I think we had got the feel for how many wonderful grassroots things we have
Okay.
here.
Probably more than we should put in.
Okay,
Okay, family-focused and education-minded values, a community where families of all kinds flourish. Children feel safe and supported. Support of quality educational opportunities that enrich the lives of all community members of all ages. I didn't say too many alls in there, sorry. Artists, artisans, and the arts are a vital part of UNESCO's unique identity.
there you go.
So we did actually remember that specifically.
It is an important part. So.
Anything to add?
Next.
Could someone just define for me a flourishing family?
Oh,
You know, it's
Happy.
like, you know it when you see it.
You know, when you see it, come to our house and then you tell me.
Depends what day.
I don't know that, I just think that's a,
The Supreme Court about pornography.
yeah, right.
How do you
Um,
define it?
well,
When I see it.
this.
What is it we're trying to say about families? I mean, flourishing could mean, are they reproducing more, you know, flourishing? Or,
Now you're getting in the weeds.
What would you like to say instead?
well, What do you want? I mean, what do people think that they want to see about families?
Well, it's easy to live here for family.
That,
Facilities are available for family, to support family activities. That's an
Families are
important
welcome
thing.
and encouraged.
Yeah.
For example. Right.
Is there another word that would,
It's
a little more?
I like flourishes. but- No, actually, don't.
Yeah.
You're good with flourish.
I think it's not so specific, but it's, I kind of get the idea. You want the families to come here and just enjoy themselves. Like, to me,
Thrive.
that's,
I think.
thrive is pretty good, yeah, although it's basically a synonym for flourish, but,
Yeah.
but,
But a better.
but I think, but like, let me take a stab and when I'm writing, like, I will say what I'm trying to say, and then sometimes the one word that means it comes to, but like, that a family of any kind, whether a child couple or a family with kids or two young single people or any kind of family can live the life that they want to live in Nesco.
That we provided context for.
That they have some
Thriving
place
and
to
flourishing.
live, that they have, that the community, like, that they can lead the life they want to live here.
Are people happy with that?
What would you think?
That probably still needs a little work, but,
Yeah,
yeah, I would
that's,
try,
that might.
fresh is good.
Okay, that's a good, but that's the sentiment.
or at least
That's the
that was my take on it.
Okay.
I would add a little amendment to that, a community where individuals and families, because not everyone is a
Good
quote
point.
family.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Well,
that's,
Lot of
When
significance.
I-
Yeah,
So-
put of all kinds then,
Well-
just individuals. and
I wanna
families.
push back on that a little bit, that when, from earlier meetings, I think the place this value specifically came from was like families with children. Like this goes back to Liz in her comments. So maybe we want another value that we don't want to exclude individuals, but I think highlighting families and the value and having that value be about families is worthwhile, and that was kind of the intent that was expressed in earlier meetings.
yeah, I agree with that, that was the intent then, but we are sort of neglecting individuals. in
Yeah.
this.
And there are a lot of single people living here.
Yeah.
I mean, Mary Ellen and I came here. We found this to be, I'm sorry, a desert. For us to, and I, since she has passed, had no desire whatsoever to leave as an individual. Because of what we've got over there on the beach, literally. So it's lovely to say something about where families can all flourish. I would rather change families to individuals. Where individuals can flourish.
Well, how about both?
Yeah, how about both?
Okay, families or individuals.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
or,
individual.
yeah.
or do they does each one get its own state?
Everybody?
And the of all kinds had to do with, diversity, which is, a big buzzword, but, I think that. We'll do that.
I think it,
Of all kinds is just another way of saying that.
I think it overdoes all of the things that we've discussed here that are listed as diversity. If where individuals and families can live and flourish, I don't need live the life they want to live seems kind of, yeah, I don't know. I know, just don't say what I mean.
In the setting.
Okay,
But it's where individuals and families can live and flourish.
Yeah.
okay, so I added another bullet. Do we want to recombine it? What's the
Well,
feeling?
and let's not write by committee. We're trying to collect all the
Alright, alright.
So what we've learned in previous meetings is that
Alright,
families
fair
with
enough.
children is a value that at least some people want to highlight. But like specifically families with children. And we've learned in this meeting that like people living alone as individuals is also a value that like that we.
Yeah.
And I
So,
don't think, I think we lose both things if we smash them into one value.
okay,
Like there's, yeah.
so we may wind up changing this major thing, because it's kind of more than that, but
Well, the
We'll figure that
bullet
out.
is family focused, so maybe we can blow off the individuals in this particular point. Since this Roman numeral 2 was family focused and education minded values. And just,
But then what?
I don't think,
I think it's important to be in it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I
Don't worry
think
about
we are
where it
gonna
is.
Include
It'll get-
individuals and families, because we heard that very
Yeah.
clearly.
this will be a
It's couples
checklist,
ghetto anyway.
and every bullet here is gonna be represented somehow in the document.
And just to set context, this document is going to be evolving for at least 6 more months. Like, and they're trying to put to get this part of it sort of finished right now, but it's not done at all.
We'll go throughout the summer.
Okay. Other
I have a
comment,
comment in the chat.
but we're ignoring it.
I've noticed. It hasn't been there that long. Could we say a community where diverse individuals and families feel welcome and supported? Kind of changes the tone a little bit, though.
What's the advantage of, what are we changing here?
She wants
Well,
to add,
instead of all kinds, say diverse. And that
Things like that.
It would be diverse family, or no?
Makes sense,
all
the
kinds.
diversity of individuals makes sense, but I think it's too wordy.
The
Diversity.
It's essentially the same thought, is it not? Nancy? I mean, it's gonna be reworded.
okay, that's fine.
We definitely got the message.
Yeah, we don't wanna edit
And
more.
families to flourish, and they will be diverse. So.
Whether they want to or not.
We got the message.
I guess I was responding to the person who said they didn't care for the families of all kinds, that it was worded, but that's fine.
Agree.
You guys are gonna reword it.
Okay, you'll see it on the 26th, and you can throw darts at it again.
Okay. Probably we'll go back and do a little smoothing on this. So this is version 2. And we'll likely have a version 3 for that,
By the 26th.
by the 26th. And it will be posted on the website.
Okay.
Okay, next, environmental stewardship values. Protecting the natural beauty of Nesquin's beaches, forests, and diverse habitats. Lots of nods there.
Just a thought for you on that. Oftentimes what's best for the environment isn't always beautiful to us. And so trying to maintain the natural beauty
Oh,
may not be the best.
that's a value judgment. To me, I find beauty in the things that other people might find ugly. That's true. So it is it is a value judgment.
We're supporting nature.
Yeah, well, if you have the posit that nature is beautiful, however, even if it's kind of unpleasant looking, in an aesthetic viewpoint, then that could be, but how would we change that to make that better?
You could say protecting Nesquins and eliminate the natural beauty of.
Okay.
oh,
Or
Could
the
do.
natural landscape.
although I've heard loud and clear throughout this process that one of the things that people value about Nesquin is that it's pretty.
Pretty.
Yeah.
So.
So that means taking out the riprap?
Blood.
After on the point. Need that riprap there.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Should that say protect as opposed to protecting?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So read it again.
I missed one, protect the natural beauty.
Well, I think it can remain open to interpretation, but it's still a reasonable statement. No, I don't think that.
Well, we also have the next bullet, which says sustainable practices that minimize our impact on the environment, which suggests, together with that first one, that we're not going to have beauty at the expense of the environment.
Right.
I think that's,
That goes
that
back to
seems to be a
Dave.
good balance in there.
That's an example of that, like, what does that mean? What would that mean? I guess I don't understand what.
Sustainable practices are.
Like, what would be bad for the environment that's beautiful?
Well, if, for instance, the golf course was, set upon to make sure that it was empty of water, it would impact there. And so there would be an impact on the environment, so we're kind of,
All that.
Or you could spray all the weeds along all the roads so that you didn't have weeds along the roads, but they'd all be dead and ugly, so.
Yeah.
They're the blackberries.
Scotch Brome.
Yeah, pull it.
Yeah, it's fine. Somebody went through, Carlton over the weekend and did that.
Yeah, I've done it annually on Slab Creek Road, and I'm losing the battle for sure.
But isn't that preserving the natural beauty of Scotch Broom?
It's an invasive
No.
species.
well, so are humans.
Okay,
Now,
It looks pretty.
The natural environment.
Exactly.
well, can you just change beauty to landscape or something else that doesn't have a quality to it?
Natural environment, is
Yeah.
that too vague?
Environment sounds nice.
okay. Elaine, do you want to share your thought, or do you want us to just read it?
Are you talking about my chat comment?
Yep.
Sure, yeah, so our house has, almost exclusively native plants, and I know it, I love walking through the neighborhoods and seeing all the beautiful gardens. But I think just having some mention of, the importance of native species, and especially this growing concern of mine with all the invasives that I see, just taking over some areas, especially the wetlands that, and the takeover of ivy on many of the, undeveloped lots. It's really a problem. So I think having that in our values is important. And then just, I know the use of pesticides is very controversial, but it's something I feel strongly about. So I don't know what the group thinks about that, but just some suggestions to ponder.
Okay, so let me capture that. So that's something that we've not,
Are there any other thoughts on that? Like, does anyone really, really love foxglove? Yeah.
Yeah.
Foxglove is
Foxglove is
invasive.
not native, but it's not invasive. As far as I know, it's not on the invasive species list.
it kind of looks like it next door to me.
This year in particular.
So, how can I capture that in a simple statement about, invasive species?
Maybe discourage the introduction of invasive species.
Sounds a little negative, but I guess promote.
Native species.
Yeah.
That also seems pretty uncontroversial to promote native species, but probably most people can get behind.
Yeah,
Did that work?
that looks good.
Okay.
And then we have another comment,
You might want to put native plant species.
yes,
Not specifying what species.
Well, what about animal species?
cougars.
What, you got
Bears.
wolf,
Back out.
Well, but we will.
There's our own.
I've seen a couple of houses already this spring. It,
yeah.
What, when you say bears?
So do we want to say plant?
I don't know.
I think so, because
Yeah,
I think plant species, like caring about native plants and caring about native animals, like lots of us care about both, but they are not the same. Yeah, so. And we have another comment from Barry, who suggests that we remove on our community at the end of bullet 3.
Actively prepare for the impacts of climate change on our community. Wants to get rid of on our
Yeah, just
community.
actively prepare for the impacts of climate change, which. That's really good.
Say it's on it.
Yeah. Redundant.
Less is more. So are we happy with promote native species, plant species?
Or actually, Tom, if I can make a suggestion.
You can.
You have practices that protect our night skies, minimize disturbances. What if you make that third bullet promote native plant species?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Oops.
Okay, very good.
So you want to be editor?
No.
Welcome all suggestions.
All suggestions.
I'll keep making the comments.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, prepare for impacts of climate change. Okay, I think we're on the fourth major bullet. Practices that promote native plant species, protect our night skies, minimize disturbances to wildlife. So that's kind of the we're promoting one thing and we're trying to not disturb the other. In terms of plants and animals, okay. Yeah, sounds reasonable. Did like the bear on our front yard, our front porch.
And the other thing, so we're, for protect night skies, what's the deal? Why they want, you guys want?
Oh, it's about not having light that goes up.
Oh, up, yeah, so on our front porch.
You minimize lighting.
Downlighting. for
Downlighting.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations about water quality and water resource.
Mhm.
If we're talking about environmental stewardship value.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about water resources, water quality.
Where did it go?
Is it on another slide?
We had it in,
I think, yeah, it was,
Is it the third bullet in safety and resilience values?
yeah, resilience.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to put something about water?
I didn't get which the comment was about.
No,
Oh,
it's on another
clear and
slide.
Sustainable supply of safe drinking water through management and protection of our watershed is under safety and resilience.
Ah, okay, so we
I
don't
think
need,
we upped it as a element of security for the community.
yeah, that, it's somewhat arbitrary.
I knew it was there, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it disappeared. That was a big one.
Yeah. So,
Good on that.
Oh,
Anything else on
Let's
that?
see, we have a few more comments. Barry has another comment. Can we all agree that fireworks disturb wildlife?
Apparently not.
Nope, can't
And then,
agree on that. Right.
And I'm just gonna read comments aloud, but if you made a comment and I read it aloud and you wanna say more, just speak up. So, the nights, Elaine said, the night sky protection. Is wonderful to see, especially being surrounded by rentals that have unshielded floodlights everywhere that stay on all the night. Don't I know?
Well, that's in there, so.
I do have one question with the minimized disturbance to wildlife, only because bears have really become an issue in the 6 decades that my family has owned property in Esplin. I've never seen it this bad. And I was speaking to someone in the store today whose husband, it involved, he wasn't the owner of the house where the bear appeared on the deck yesterday in the middle of the afternoon. But he was encountered by that bear as it was fleeing and it came within 10 feet of him. And he said he definitely was, the bear is not afraid. And so when we say minimize disturbance to wildlife, yet we're protecting child safety, it's a slippery slope because I truly believe that we're seeing something that we've never seen 6 decades ago.
Which is why everybody needs to have bear-proof garbage cans.
Yeah.
And not have bird feeders, etc.
Yeah,
yeah,
we bring ours in at night, the bird feeders. Just,
So just wanted to raise that because
Right.
specifically about bears.
And I certainly would like to not, especially in our value statement, not try and set bears in opposition to children. Because I think that's a false like trade-off too, that like
Yeah, especially when you don't have kids.
yeah. Well, but I mean, like find a report of a child that has been injured by a black bear. I mean,
I'm
it's
sorry?
probably happened at some point, but like I mean, many more children get injured by dogs than by black bears.
My brother-in-law was actually attacked by a black bear.
When he was a
Yeah.
child,
Sorry?
as a child,
No, as an adult.
okay.
Yeah. So I actually.
And he amazingly survived, and the person who saved his life had to put a fire axe into the bear's spinal column, cut down the wood, the trees, and he was airlifted out. And that person got a Canadian Badge of Courage for saving my brother-in-law's life, and it was a black bear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I think you gotta put it, if we have a parking lot,
In the woods.
one of the things to put in a parking lot for the CAC to discuss, and maybe we could contact, CAC could contact the Fish and Wildlife folks, the local person here in Oregon, in Tillamook County, to talk to us about black bears. And what a lot of people seem to be saying, they're out early this year. What is it that we're starting to see these so early? So I think it would be, let's follow up, let CAC follow it up next meeting. Yeah,
Yeah, find out why.
yeah, what's going on?
Is it possible also to ask Nestucca Garbage to make sure that public, waste bin by the washrooms is,
That's the state.
It's a state.
State line, right?
then they need to make sure it's cleaned up regularly, because it usually, especially after a weekend, it's overflowing.
Well, there's some people think there's an imbalance in the marsh. With what bears normally feed on, and what's available to them, and we're having more cougars come down into the village and around. They may be attacking the normal bear prey, and there could be all kinds of things happening,
Factors.
all factors, but I think it would be great, put it in the lot, parking lot, let's talk about it next CAC.
Yeah.
With somebody who knows what they're talking about.
but certainly like coexisting with bears is exactly the kind of thing that we want to talk about in the community plan, especially where it involves like garbage and things like that.
Coexisting doesn't mean
And
giving in to.
sheltering.
Yeah, so, right. And we have another comment from Elaine. Should we have a value to minimize hazardous wildlife encounters? This seems like it's primarily a rental issue. But minimizing hazardous wildlife encounters, especially if we can like frame it in a way that does not make it sound like we're trying to just chase away all the wildlife or minimize encounters by minimizing the wildlife, sounds like a good value, because the things you do to minimize hazardous encounters are the way you protect wildlife. Like you can like hazardous and wildlife encounters are more dangerous for the wildlife than for the people.
Well, the thing is that the rental companies are really involved in, or should be involved in that. Because they're the ones that tell the clients what's required of them as far as their waste. And I mean, I watched some of these, and I know that both of these companies in here come in once a week. And if that stuff's been sitting since the weekend, that's a little too long. They should be coming in more often, especially when a client has moved on, to check that the trash is taken care of. Even if they have to call in, Nestucca, pick it up again before it's regularly scheduled on Thursdays.
Nestucca unfortunately won't do that. They don't have the manpower staff.
I think it's the responsibility of the homeowner to keep the garbage.
Well, see, that's, I mean, when you turn over to a rental company,
Well, then they need someone to
Yeah.
take it, they need to hire somebody to manage the trash.
right,
Isn't that why they have to put a number on the house? So then whoever that happens, if it's to your next door neighbor, then somebody would call that number. And then that course they have to come and take care of it.
you know, last year we had one with, one of the companies, and the bears had really trashed the place. And thankfully, one of the neighbors caught it and called in on it.
Yeah, that's.
So they had to come and, trash was all over the yard. So,
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Hillary, but if you call Miss Staka, because they're in here on Monday and Thursdays. If you call them for a pickup on Monday, they will.
They will
pick
do
up.
it?
Yep,
That's good to know.
because they're already in here on Mondays. Yeah.
I hear a lot at the condos and what have you, picking up from the dumpsters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I'll share that.
I mean, the drivers know all of the routes around here. So if you say you're at such and such an address and you need pickup, they got no problem with it.
They're in Hawk Creek Hills on Tuesdays, so they're around the whole area all week long. So you'd think that they can make a special
Yeah,
pickup, you would think,
I would think.
yeah.
We have a few more comments in the chat, both from Barry. Raccoons are scary too. They don't seem to be afraid of humans.
No.
And, and people have seen cougars on their ring cameras.
Yep.
Oh, that means come to the doorway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're walking through the yard.
Yeah.
okay, I think we've worked through, we've found out a lot in this discussion. I think we've. And we,
Anything, I think we've added some stuff.
and we have a lot of notations.
Yeah.
To work on maybe something else that fits in here, but it's a tough one to word and be positive. Let's try the last category.
Okay,
I would like to talk on that first PowerPoint presentation.
Up on the top,
Yeah,
well, let's go back to that when we.
no, I mean here.
Oh, right here.
Pedestrian friendly street.
Surely one where pedestrian friendly streets where children and pets and all users are safe.
Feels.
I have images of the West Carlton egress. It is absolutely a public hazard. Literally. The two of the stanchions are loose.
Yes,
The steps on those stones is unless you're, 23 and an acrobat. Would be, I mean, literally hazardous to most people and children. At West Carlton should have been, as one neighbor said, it should have been flattened out, kind of like by Missy's family's house.
well, I can tell the whole story of that because that's my responsibility and I built the railing and I tried to get the ramp built, but the neighbors, neither one would accept it and the state said if they fight it, it's not gonna happen. So that was the next backup position is put a railing that people can grab it.
Well,
Is the rope?
no, two of the stanchions.
I know, I've tightened them many times.
These bolts there's some of them where the bolts no longer exist.
Okay, I'm the guy who has to go maintain that, and we didn't get a grant to keep maintenance up, but I haven't been, it's on my list.
It's just very hazardous. I mean, granted, I'm 79 years old and clambering down there without that rope.
I would go to the east end if I were you.
I did,
Good,
but coming back up,
yeah,
I mean, I have to go over to her house in order to come up safely.
I will get on it tomorrow.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Another volunteer job.
And thank you, Nick. I reiterate Nick's concern. I also can't get up those steps without a ramp.
Call me. No, I do this, call me.
But what happens now that there's no money to fix it?
Right.
Every year you've had to get the welder to redo it and.
Yeah,
redo the
I
bolts.
fix the
After
thin ones
winter,
that the tide and the logs and everything do, I get those replaced. But we now have no money to do that because we didn't get a TLT grant that we thought was gonna sustain this.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing.
Oh, I know,
I'm just saying,
pointing it out.
it's, I mean. I can get up and down it. But I find it, I have rocks at my place for a walkway, and I find them easier to maneuver
Oh, good.
than that.
Well, does this
It is.
mean that we need to add beach accesses in
Yes.
addition to
Yeah.
roads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make them more friendly, access friendly, like
Yeah.
the creek path.
Who owns the beach accesses? Are they county?
County.
So
No.
then can the county be sued
No.
because of
it's-
these stanchions that are
So-
wobbly?
Susan, so we wanted to put a beach access and a ramp in there for emergency vehicles to get to the beach. So what we were told was, the street coming to the riprap is the county's, the beach is the state. The homeowners who put in the riprap are responsible for the riprap.
So the homeowners can be sued on either side.
I'm not promoting anyone suing
No.
anyone.
I'm not either,
So,
I'm just asking
but
a
I-
question.
I don't know the answer to that, but I would say, there has to be a beach access at certain points along the beach. You know what how often they need to be there?
No.
There isn't any
There isn't any
prescriptive
Okay,
standard for that.
I mean, you know, like last year when that helicopter from Coast Guard came in, you had the sergeant in there from the sheriff's department. He had to come in from Mount Angel around because he couldn't get down the rocks.
on the east end of
No,
Carlton.
west,
Well, I know.
when we had that helicopter liftoff, those two.
Right, but there's no vehicle access there.
Well, there's up to the riprap. And that's it.
Right. So I'm not sure what you can do about the riprap and the terrible steps the guy
Yeah,
installed.
because, you know, that's when we have the king tides and what have you, that's right at it.
No, I know, I document all that, but
I think in 2010, I might be wrong about this, Sarah, but there was. When did we redo, we had a redo, it was after the 09 storm. And we had one of the largest CAC meetings prior to Zoom. I think we had over 100 people at the CAC meeting because the county came to us and said, do you guys want to replace the riprap that's been destroyed? And there was, probably went on for a year or two. There were some, I think, close, I don't know, I heard there were lawsuits. I can't speak directly to that, but the decision was exactly as Rand said, that the road itself was the county's. And that even though they're supposed to maintain it, they don't maintain the other roads around here, so they don't do it. The sides and the riprap are the property owners, and the front, and then the beach. And believe me, that was fought over for a couple years. And it was actually a surprising this, I don't know if it's a disagreement, but it's a real problem to think about. We want riprap back again in some places. And but the community said, yes, we supported it, and I'm not sure it was the county's choice anyways, eventually, but. So yeah, all that, who owns what, who's responsible for what was resolved about 15 years ago.
the beach access grant did improve gravel and the streets leading to the beach accesses and maintain them. Mount Angel, McMinnville, the east end of Carlton, and the flimsy railing.
Apologize. Yeah,
It's okay,
but it, you know,
I agree, it
I
needs
just say
maintenance,
that
I didn't put
safety
that
has-
down there enough.
Okay,
yeah, I mean, I got
All right.
pictures, you know.
Okay.
okay, I think we've got that.
You wanna just say pedestrian friendly streets and beach access for children, pets and youth?
I added a bullet that said beach access is safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll give it. more
What about
one.
beach accesses plural?
And I would maybe put in something like maintain.
beach accesses,
Because there are several,
well,
39A,
general-
39B,
general
the
category of-
Corvallis one.
Yeah, we forget about
Carlton.
Corvallis, how bad that is.
Beach access being a noun, not a.
yeah, beach access
Okay.
now,
Doesn't-
that's what it is.
got it.
TLT grants.
Okay,
And I
Yeah.
think she said, somebody said, just said beach access is safe and maintained.
Yeah.
I think she said
And
on
maintained.
it, Yeah.
Plus, I guess one excludes the
Of
other.
course, if it's not safe,
By Randall.
not maintained, it's not safe probably, but, okay, so we've covered pedestrian, we kind of glossed over pedestrian friendly streets wandering off to the beach. Anybody have any comments on that one?
No.
Okay, third bullet then is emergency plans that prepare us for natural hazards and disasters.
I'm part of the local emergency
Sir,
support people. Yeah, sir, yeah.
Yeah, we got that down as actually the last sub bullet. Secure and sustainable supply of safe drinking water through management and protection of our watershed. I don't think anybody could say no to that.
no.
Could I speak?
Sure.
I'm wondering if we could take the fourth and fifth bullet and put it back in the third, the previous section on environmental. It just seems like it fits there more.
What, these two,
Reliable sewer and infrastructure.
Mhm.
that,
I don't know, just a thought.
I think the water is a safety issue.
Both of those really should.
Well,
they're sort of both.
Yeah,
It could be in both, but I wouldn't take it out.
Yeah.
I'd also make watershed, our watershed plural. Because Mesquite does have a water right in another watershed.
watersheds.
Watersheds.
So we're gonna mark the secure and reliable up into the environmental area.
Oh, we thought we should move it under safety, don't you think? We want safe water, but the other thing under the next one, I think is he's talking about, isn't she reliable sewer infrastructure to protect the environment? Is that the one?
Yeah, that seems environment.
well, I'm wondering whether safety and resilience actually go together. Because safety is like real time, like I'm not gonna trip in a pothole and die, whereas resilience is like the ability of the community to withstand changes over time.
Yeah.
I'd say that the major titles on these slides is less important than the bullets.
Sure.
Yes, right.
So if we agree with the bullets, we can sort out where they go.
I like Nancy's idea to just maybe move the watershed environment protection up. Just, leave the safety, water, drinking stuff, but under the bullet points for the third slide, protecting natural beauty like beaches, forests, diverse habitats, watershed.
Yeah,
Oh,
So you have it there, just as watershed, but then it's dive into the safety aspect of it on the safety section.
well, yeah,
yeah, the protection, well, you got Guy as the person
Yeah,
really to speak to this, but
we're gonna,
Well, one of the things under safety and resilience is kind of a word that we're kind of getting hung up on. And some of the last sort of bullet points, you could say, safety and wellness values. Because I know that in previous meetings, there's a lot of been talking about supporting kind of the wellness type of activities.
Yeah.
well, the word resilience, I think. Well, I'm not gonna attribute it, I think it
Could be me.
that would be you. Is because we had adequate there instead, and adequate was insufficient.
Right.
So I kind of like the resilience because we are gonna get pummeled. And what we need to do is be able to come back. from there.
Well, I think it more speaks to future potential of something to happen. We're a landslide away. And believe me, there are a lot of landslides in the water in the Hop Creek watershed. We're a landslide away from diverting water away from our intake. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a pretty good probability that over time it's going to happen. So to be resilient and be able to plan for that and what we do and how we respond, whether it's how we reserve, or water, or whatever, or go for another water right, which we have. So that's the kind of thing when I think of resilience, whatever, and I think you said something, Jeff, about you know, the things that may happen to us, you know, in the future, we want to be prepared for. I tend to think of watersheds, now I'm, again, as I think, put my watershed council brain on, we tend to think of watershed system health, which kind of incorporates a whole lot of things, you know, it's including the wildlife, including the habitat for fish, including the health of our forests, those kinds of things. So we tend to think broadly about watersheds. And I don't know if that fits here. We have 2 major watersheds within our community boundary. And, you know, should we be thinking about their, you know, their overall health and the systems that they have? Of course, some of those watersheds are dominated. Well, there's a lot of industrial timber activity in those watersheds. And in both watersheds that we have, the Mesquite Creek and Hawk Creek. And I guess Butte Creek is a minor one. Anyways, it might be something as we flesh out this, we might want to somehow address that. Yeah.
I think there's a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I was waiting for a good moment. So Barry says, what is the purpose of the statement? Automobile traffic is the lowest priority. I agree. Just think it needs to, I don't think it needs to be stated. While streets are safe for multimodal traffic is there, and then Elaine adds, what about automobile traffic is considered equally with non-motorized and other transportation options?
So this evolved out of a discussion that we had kids and bikes and dogs and all kinds of things as that were the priority in the village, and the automobiles were second to that, and they need to slow down and take care because there's a lot of activity that makes those streets alive and part of the unique character of the village. So that's where those words came from, and we've honed them down to these phrases, and the automobile traffic being the lowest priority was a way to say that if something's going on, the car is the lowest priority, the people, the bikes, the kids are the highest priority. So I'm not sure I would take that out. Maybe it could be said in a more positive way.
What is multimodal? Is that like golf carts,
Cars and.
bikes? Oh, the golf carts seem to be as
Dangerous.
fast as the cars on my block. There's no speed bumps for them.
That was a very contentious point, with speed bumps in. As well as to direct traffic one way on Hawk and one way on Breakers.
Yeah.
There you go, there's.
It's like reopen that $3 million street that was good for 15 years. Before.
Okay,
So
so
we're not solving those problems here, but if we can have those comments.
I like the way it's written, to be honest. I like the way.
I have a bullet that I'd like to see added, and that is maintaining the tsunami evacuation trails, some of which are underwater. Pardon the year.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
okay,
It's something of emergency plans, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So it is kind of under emergency plans. So maybe we should put some details here.
Uh-huh.
One of the things we may want to do is solidify our agreement with the Fish and Wildlife, because that tsunami trail runs through a refuge, which by law, federal law, says there can be no human uses. And that includes a tsunami trail. And so that tsunami trail, as people around here know the history of it, was first started by a local resident putting up a sign saying it was a tsunami trail.
And the road, it was just a road out here.
Well, usually a road, but until the feds got it though, Michael.
Is that Salem Street, I mean, Hunt Street?
No,
It's up near Corvallis, it's the one north of
yeah.
Corvallis.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Going
it's-
up the crest.
All I'm saying is that we gotta know that we're treading on land that legally we're not supposed to be on. Because once the feds bought it, Michael's right, it used to be a road, but once the feds got it, it became part of the refuge system. So that's something in the future, because as managers, as the refuge coastal managers changed, their interpretation of that has changed. So put it in the parking lot, it's something we got to, because I think it's a good thing about the Tsunami Trail, and I remember all the fights we went through. We had a good manager to let us put that bridge there. He wouldn't let us fill it. We can't put fill in there, because that is definitely against it, but something to look to kind of guarantee that we have that access.
Okay, so that should be routes or trails, or, I mean, it's generally tsunami routes. would be
Evacuation
plans.
route.
And credit to the group that's done all that work outlining all the trick, ways to get out of the village. I mean, that's terrific work.
So anything else could be added under this?
I would say the tsunami sheds as well that have food stored in them. They should go somewhere it should be somewhere in our document.
Okay.
The fire chief talked about that about 2 years ago and said there's no way that they could put emergency containers out and protect them from thieves and what have you. So, I mean, they were talking about putting a couple up on the hill. And they said, we can't protect them. I mean, there's no way, other than having 24-hour security around them, because, the things that come in there, they'll cut the locks, they'll empty the containers, and then there's nothing left.
So we have a couple, right?
What?
We have a couple.
But there may not be anything in them
Yeah.
now. Have we looked at them?
I have it.
We put a bear inside each one.
There you
go.
Actually,
Always thinking God.
worked with DEGAMI and the Department of Land Conservation and Development in 2019. Developed the tsunami hazard overlay zone and the tsunami facility improvement plans. So Nesco has what's called a TEFIT. And so that might be something to put in there, especially because thinking about money or things later. Those tsunami, so I would it's the tsunami facilities improvement plan, and I'm not sure what else you would want to put in there, maybe like,
I mean, they could probably stop it, from the military and the government stockpiles, but
well, and this goes, like, this plan talks about, we talked about it during that time at a CAC meeting. It speaks to the bridge that you're talking about,
Yeah.
so that could be a good talking point with the Fed that talks about if you ever wanted to do evacuation power or something, it could be helping to redo or do more improvements to the Salem Avenue Bridge. The Nescoin emergency egress route, there was part of that talked about, the tie to that to the tsunami evacuation facilities improvement plan. So I don't know if you would want to put, I don't know how you would want to summarize that, but.
I mean, I've got enough evacuation material in my car to last for almost a month. Just a chance of, hey, the ground is rumbling, I'm getting up the hill.
What kind of car do you drive?
So I've got both emergency supply sheds and tsunami facilities improvement plan. That seems like the same thing.
They are not.
They're
The
not.
facilities improvement plan is other types of actual structural
Okay.
facility improvement.
Fair enough.
It can include wayfinding, so some of your money for your wayfinding through Visit Tillamook Coast came from that plan.
Okay.
And we have a comment in the chat from Elaine. We actually have two. I'm gonna go in reverse order. So she said, could we promote partnering with Red Cross for preparedness information, evacuation maps, and kits to have in each residence? I don't know if any of the CERT or South Bay Emergency Preparedness Corps people want to speak to that, but.
Like I said, I'm the CERT group, and I have enough material that I could stay out a month if necessary, water, food, even for my pet. But the trick is that, this is not really an easy access out of here if everybody is trying to bail all at the same time, because you only got that little bridge on Hawk Creek. And if that goes out, we're all cooked here. Because the rest of us here in the more southern area of the village have got to hook up to here to get down Hawk Street.
So I'm so sorry. I'm actually, a non-voting board member of the South Tillamook County EDC. I helped put it together with Marge, Joseph, and others. I like the idea of what Elaine is saying. I think that could be something that gets folded into this. And then, this would be a great conversation with the EDC. So I know that they have a lot of really good efforts underway. And they may be another one to come and talk to the CAC again, because they've done a lot of work since March was here.
And we do have the maps and all those are
Mhm.
published materials and available. If someone, there are some in the store. that I put for STR owners to put in their houses. There are a lot available. If anyone doesn't have one of those or doesn't leave it, you could probably leave a stack in your home for the guests that you're not there.
Are you gonna bring those to the NCA meeting?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That was the idea, right? That you were gonna bring them to the NCA meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've given one of the boxes away and I have one to give you tonight for South Beach.
Okay,
So, and when I told Alex and Bill about it, they had a lot of them. So I'm probably not the guy to base that on. It should probably be the people who have boxes of them. But, yes,
Okay,
I can,
so are we adding that,
is there one before it?
apartment? Part-time was-
okay, the one before the other comment is from a little while back, but multimodal traffic, this is also from Elaine. Tends to imply other motorized options, rail, bus, etc. I would suggest the term non-motorized pedestrian or human powered.
Mhm.
Which is
Where do-
wheelchairs.
Where do golf carts fall into that?
No, golf carts would be powered, so that would be excluding that.
Right.
So
Hey,
what do people think?
Multimodal covers everything. I mean, whether you're walking or bicycling or driving an RV.
What if under volunteer organizations, you got rid of safety, but then added a bullet for the South Tillamook County Emergency Volunteer Corps? Or you could put safety, and it would address what Elaine's talking about, that partnering, because that would be ultimately, the EVC would be your connection to the Red Cross, I think,
Yeah. I
if
think
you
that
guys agree.
there's been enough organization locally where the Red Cross is a long way away and these guys are doing. it.
They're definitely boots on the ground.
South Tillamook,
County Emergency Volunteer Corps. And they also have 501c status, so there's a lot of work that they're doing. Yeah, y'all should have them come in. I think David Sears and Stephanie Sarcosta Welch are the two that are really actively leading that. Not the CERT part, but the.
the CERT is actually part of that. isn't
It
it?
is, but don't they operate independently sometimes too? Or are they activated through the EDC? I don't know.
Actually have a dual activation between the fire district and them. So it's kind of up in, I'm missing the word here.
Emergency Volunteer Corps.
I know it's really
Nancy.
short.
Nancy has a comment.
Yeah, I don't know where it goes. It's not really a value. Maybe it goes on you said there's a flip chart. But something for providing electric vehicle charging stations.
Oh. Hmm.
So it might go under environment, somewhere in infrastructure, or just something that's thought of later, but
How about if we put that in other values?
well, it seems like that goes under environment, but it also seems like actually naming electric vehicle charging statements in a value statement is probably too specific. But
Right.
having that in our minds about like what, making sure that that's implied that we would like there to be.
Yeah, I don't see how we've got it implied here, the problem.
Yeah, So maybe we go ahead and write it specifically now, and then you can go back and work on it later.
Yeah, I've got that noted.
It's kind of under bullet 2, maybe.
And from
Maybe.
Barb Triplett, the
Or
South,
practices that, I don't know.
from Barb Triplett, the South Tillamook County Emergency Volunteer Corps is the parent organization for Search and Plan Your Neighborhoods.
Right, that's not that capitalized, sorry. In Germany,
On the EV charging, you're gonna have to contact one of the major producers. And have them volunteer to drop such a practice in here. It's just not like Lincoln City or Pacific City. You know, not a lot of people are driving around a lot, parked here with an EV. Most of the people I've seen around here with EVs, being a Tesla or a whatever, they're usually on their property and that's where they charge them.
Well, it might be for visitors. In fact, that's probably one of the main reasons we want to be welcoming to people who are driving around Oregon in EVs and.
Well, the problem is you're gonna have to get somebody like Tesla or Rivian or one of the others.
Our value statement can just be in our intent. that, like,
Aspiring to.
Yeah, so,
And ODOT actually, another thing, grants other funding for things like this. So putting a statement in the values is really good.
so I've got it in red, because I'm not quite sure where it goes or how to say it.
It's okay, we'll sort that out.
We'll
In the
figure
right
that out.
category.
But I want to capture it.
You did it.
Okay. Get back to that.
I have another thing under safety that I'd like to see added, and that's maintaining, to the extent that we can, safe roads. I mean, the quality of them. Or improving them, maybe I should say improving, improving the quality of our roads.
Seems like it's something.
well, I think it's something that we had and it got kind of like edited down to just safe, which, and maybe we want to bring it back.
Well, the roads aren't bad so long as they're not like along Hawk Creek or Salem. The rest of them are fine to drive on. The one Hawk Creek, of course, gets it because of the inundations with the tides and what have you, when it's flooded out. But most of the streets are fine.
Well, there's just such a huge influx of drivers on Hawk Drive.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that Hawk Street is unavailable to all the voters. All the people who live north of the golf course. Which has been de rigueur for decades
Yeah.
until the Beavers took it over.
Actually,
Such a waste.
Maintain and improve roads. There we go.
Does there need to be anything under this whole safety values, anything about appropriate safety sign? You know, like speed limits and stuff like that.
Well, they think the street.
Speed limits,
They
you
think
can drive
the streets
slow,
with it,
right?
and, but
Is that what you mean by
safety sign?
most people, I mean, you know, when they drive on the streets, they don't see the painting on the street. Whereas if it was, every once in a while, the county put up a speed limit sign, it might make a difference. I don't know, you know, some of the people come through here like it's driving down the highway. I mean, I've seen people, I know, in excess of 30 miles an hour, driving along breakers.
Well, one of the things that happens all the time is that people drive in to the village here and they don't see the state parking. And so they get past the bridge and they stop.
Today.
We spent some time on that intersection there. And they just kind of stop and they're kind of looking around. They don't even know where to go. And so they back up traffic. Sometimes they're having to circle around, but then they end up driving throughout the village. And they're trying to track someone down, he's like, do you know where I can park? I'm like, did you see the parking when you first pulled in? I'm like, no, I says. So even a sign that says, before you reach the bridge, it says, no parking beyond this point.
Well, you got
No public
you got
parking.
that
beyond
RV
this
sign that says no turnaround.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hidden by a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Anyway.
I'd like to
Better
point out
signs.
that unless the county does the sign, that's where the signs come from. They can't put stuff on their posts and things, even the tsunami ones, we did our own posts for the tsunami signs. So it is definitely a coordination and cooperation with the county. It's not the only route to get the signs, and it might be that there could be a way to fund our own signs through the county. Say, well, we want the signs, and if you can't afford them, maybe we can chip in and we'll buy the signs, and then they install it.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Or
We
could we paint one
have a-
for the Memorial Day sign paintings here for that, a cute one? Have someone just,
You can do the cute ones, you just can't put them on those posts. You can
Okay.
put, put them on your own.
There's your whole lot.
We have a few comments that I wanna,
Before we close on that one, so I've got maintain and improve roads and signage.
Yes.
There you go.
on this topic, Barry just said, Fairway Court in Hog Creek Hills has huge potholes that are never repaired since we've lived there 4 years plus. And back on the charging station, Barb Triplett said some STR owners are installing charging stations in their homes.
I have one more thing under safety that I just thought of. And I know, I think some that we tried to get, but were unsuccessful with ODOT. During the farmer's market, having a way to cross the highway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The constant.
Yeah, if there was some way we could try again, or.
Yeah,
Or maybe a volunteer gets out there with a flag, and
well, there are volunteers during the farmer's market.
Yeah.
I did write the highway department and when I was.
Crossing.
What?
There are no crossing volunteers.
Oh, I thought I saw people.
No.
anyway, maybe we need to get, say, like, put a crosswalk across there.
Yeah,
Well-
so I wrote the letter to the gal, they came out and inspected it, and they said that there's no evidence that there's a safety issue, because no one's been hit or killed yet.
Great.
That's basically the criteria, so.
That's like it's some parking along.
Would you ask them to come out and visit?
They,
We could arrange
put
it.
up signs, no parking.
Yeah, it's still parking.
And they sign, the signs they point out are not very
Did
effective.
you all notice that they put up the speed things on 101 here? Did you notice it?
Yeah.
Speed bump, yeah.
Today.
Or-
You're-
Well, they've been for a couple of days.
They're
Yeah,
measuring this.
They're measuring the speeds up and down there, which is what. For years, we have told them that it's at the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit sign makes no difference. So
Especially with
I'm curious as to what, and we ought to follow up with ODOT to see what information they get out of that, those lines. They usually leave it for a month.
So one of the options that exists, and it is expensive, is a blinking light sign that says, congestion ahead, or one of those things that might help. And that's another thing that if we propose that we would pay for this sign, it might get installed. So yeah, all these things are kind of like attached to their budget that they don't want to spend because they're doing it on essential safety projects. And then these are boutique projects to them, I think, like, oh, those people want that thing, but we have to do it over here, not over here. So we're up against a lot. A lot of these things really require maybe engagement and participation with helping them do it, which seems ridiculous, but it's more grassroots efforts often mean toning up something to get the thing done.
So what do we write in the value statement to?
Yeah.
To bring that
Thank you.
closer to reality?
Yeah,
I just don't know if we understand that 101 is part of our road safety
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's right through our community.
Well, while you're thinking about that, to Randall's point, so I just left a meeting in Neatards. And Public Works and ODOT were there. And we were having this exact same conversation, and the conversation was, tell us what you need, tell us how you can help us, because they don't have budgets and money. So I think inviting them out is a really good idea, and I'm taking notes so I can help you do that.
Okay,
I will send an email to ODOT and to Chris Leahy.
okay,
Yeah, I
Thank
can't
you.
promise
So-
anything, but they'll come.
right, yeah.
Is there something I need to capture here? Or tell me what it is.
Well, you know, in the other statements, we did say, and I'm kind of sad it disappeared, it might come back, is that, coordination and cooperation with county and state, officials isn't what? Maybe, is that the value, to cooperate and coordinate with,
Collaborate.
and collaborate with, county and state. Well, this is all about the community. I don't know, to get stuff done, I don't.
To get stuff done, what,
Kathy,
Or to maintain
Yeah, can we have
the
a value to get stuff
services
done?
that are listed, road improvements. System, update, other utility necessities.
So
so we're talking mostly about,
About to improve safety, on our streets.
Yeah, well, and it's not just safety, it's transportation improvements, right? It's
Uh-huh.
I'd like to amend the second bullet, maintain and improve roads, bridges and signage, because have our bridges been inspected?
okay, just before we, that's a good point, keep that. I want to finish this one first. Coordinate and cooperate with county and state improvements to,
Our community. Cause, I mean, do we
are
want
we
to
talking about
specifically?
specifically about roads or general?
Well, that's a good question, because we want to coordinate with them for anything we can get their help on, right?
Or
On sa-
infrastructure,
Infrastructure,
on
safety.
infrastructure project.
I mean, one of
Improvements, but
the safety issues we talked about earlier, Susan brought up about the bears and children in the community. Well, the bears are coming out of a federal refuge.
there's no period.
So
Thank you.
Okay,
It's a
now back to
safety issue.
bridges.
And bridges to the.
Yeah.
Improve roads,
yeah.
bridges, roads and signage.
And that means we have to put some commas in there.
Brides.
Brides, yeah.
Brides, improve the brides.
We're never good enough.
I think you said bribes.
Well, I'll get this.
I'm gonna blame autocorrect whether or not it was that.
All right, do you not think that passes?
Okay,
All right, where are we?
Well,
we are at the point, but do we have other things to add to this?
In terms
a
of
lot of,
vision and.
We have anything we've missed completely? Tell us everything you didn't think of.
And you can always send email to info@nescoandcac.org if you.
yeah, so if you think of something, let us know and we'll bring that up. We're definitely gonna have more meetings, things will develop and come out of other activities, but,
Are we gonna go over the timeline with everybody here?
we had.
Just so everybody understands our brain, what's coming up.
So, we're trying to figure out how to explain this best in the overall context. And
I'll try to get this to where it's readable. And
Is there some kind of barrel rate, if there is a bear walking around, is there some of the ordinance system for us?
You're-
Palm trees.
That's.
No,
Tuesday night, came right inside their little, by the fire, they had an outdoor grill area.
Oh, yeah.
He heard something out, like, he went out.
I
and
can
it was like, you know,
do the
his was-
first one, but the implementing the ordinances and stuff like
He had
that.
some black rags, and they ended up with-
Oh, no.
and that snitch.
Well, there was one friends. But you're out on the street from us. Yeah. Down all of their feeders and ate all their food and they got. Great.
Talk about
They're bringing back.
what we're transitioning.
Yeah. man.
The raccoons get things that too.
Yeah, we don't get right. We sit there.
So that's.
No garbage.
Yeah.
Well, we don't.
Outside.
Yeah.
People come in at night.
Maybe we should.
Those that are rescued.
So
I don't think it's probably.
Okay, so, but,
Today?
Oh, it was,
No, so-
Wednesday morning.
so, this, we will take these notes and, bring them to cogency, and then we will present that in the, meeting, on the Sunday, May 26th at the fire hall with the NCA meeting. We have 10 minutes there. We will have a handout at that meeting that updates these values and the timeline, so that people will give a quick explanation and encourage them to engage in the process and introduce kind of the next stage of what's going to be happening. So the timeline is a way for you to refer to, you know, how this process works. Sarah's gonna be doing some informing of these meetings in June about the implementing ordinances and the recommendations that the NESQUIN makes regarding those ordinances. And part of this process will be to try to share with everyone the state land goals that the comprehensive. Should I wade into this or not?
How about if I summarize it for you?
Okay, there you
Okay, so there's two things that are coming up that I will be visiting with all of you about in June, probably I would say end of June, maybe first part of July. Timeline may shift a little bit. It's a great timeline. Depending on the process and how this works. So we want to make sure we're moving at a pace where it's, you know, everybody's having time to think about things and provide input. So you've asked about the 406 presentation, and then the committee did a great job putting together a bunch of town halls on Oregon's land use system a couple of years ago. Probably gonna do a refresher on that, put everything together in about an hour and a half presentation. And you guys can ask questions, and what I'll do is I'll take those state level pieces and I am going to break them down with a specific focus of how they apply here. How they apply specifically to your community, which ones apply and which ones you don't need to worry about, right? Because there's a lot in there. So hour and a half of that, we'll dive into 406. That might be one meeting, that might be two. So I think that's something between Greenville, Guy and I and the rest of the committee will figure out. But then that will transition as we move out of vision and values. Those two sessions will help prepare you and transition us all into the next piece, which is the ordinance and policy discussion.
That clear enough for everyone at this point in time?
So we don't have a meeting Saturday.
There's no meeting Saturday, we canceled, we thought we would. Enough out of this meeting that we will need to process that in the next 10 days. So we're gonna be working and, we just thought that was better to let the farmer's market be the focus. So, that's all for tonight. And Nancy asked if we will have a Zoom access at the NCA meeting. I don't know, on the 26th, are you even
I
available?
can be available if you want me to come down. I will come down for that. This is
So
important.
does that work with a Zoom that way?
Well, then I said, never mind, because you said it's only gonna be 10 minutes, kind of an overview, so never mind. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's kind of, right, we'll have a bigger audience than we usually have. We want to focus on them, and we may give them an opportunity to respond to a straw poll or something on that. We haven't figured out what those questions are, but we'll be working on that too in the next 10 days.
Will that be back at the fire hall?
That'll be at the fire hall. So I hope to see you there. It's always a kind of good get together, beginning of summer kind of a feel. And we'll see you then. And thanks so much for participating in the meeting tonight. It was a great group and thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.